We're thundering towards the MotoAmerica AMA FIM North American Road Race Championship. It's round 3 of 7 for 2025 for Mission King of the Baggers on a MotoAmerica Superbikes at Road America weekend in Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. As we get ready for the Battle of American Iron in Harley-Davidson's backyard here in Wisconsin. And the sun is shining. Welcome, everyone, to the broadcast booth. I'm Greg White, standing alongside two-time national champ Jason Pridmore. Now, Jason, so far this season in Mission King of the Baggers, it has been all Kyle Wyman, and he even broke a track record here this weekend.
Yeah, the factory Harley rider has been on fire, Greg. From Daytona, when we started down in Florida, Kyle Wyman has been definitely the class of the field. And this bike he's on, Greg, he's been able to just make it his own. And you see him here getting the double down at Daytona as he went through on Troy Herfoss there. And then as we continue to move through the season, I think the biggest thing that we got to look at is the Indian wrecking crew and what are they going to do to stop the dominance of Kyle Wyman.
Yeah, the big deal too, Jay, as we look at it, is so far in Mission King of the Baggers, he's won 3 of the first 4 races. He's only lost 5 points of available 100. He's sitting on 95 points, and it is so early in the season. And here's another look at it. For Kyle Wyman, let's talk about Road America specifically, Jay, because look at his record here. It's unbelievable.
It's unreal. So when you look at Kyle, Daytona, Road America, obviously Harley's home race, and Laguna Seca, he has been pretty dominant at those 3 rounds. So for him to have already won 3 out of 4 coming into Road America, it doesn't look good for the competition. One
of the greatest racetracks in the United States. Jason, why don't you take us for a little tour with our track map?
Yeah, absolutely. One of the riders' favorites, Greg, is you come up this big, long front straightaway that you see here in our camera, go down into turn 1, turn 3, heavy braking down into that turn 5 area, that left-hander at the end of that long straight, down through the S's. Carousel obviously is a very important turn there, turn 9. But the real turn, Greg, that's the all-important one is getting out of turn 14 because it is a long run back up to the checkered flag.
This racetrack is spectacular, and when you're racing it, it looks awesome from the saddle. Here's Bradley Smith, your factory Harley-Davidson rider, in an instant 360 look. As we head off to commercial break, we come back, we're going to get race action underway. Hang tight.
Still with you here on MotoAmerica Live Plus for our all-day coverage of Superbikes at Road America. You can see looking around this 4-mile facility that the fans have stuck out the afternoon, staying in this beautiful sunshine, perfect weather conditions to be out here watching some racing. And this 5-lap battle, Roger Hayden, this is going to be a good one. We saw the 2-lap battle early on, and there was plenty of action.
Yeah, and I think you heard the riders talking about Kyle's pace all weekend. He's had a little bit of a step on the rest of the field, so it's going to be important for those guys early on in this race. Like we've seen in the challenge this afternoon, they took their shots early on, and for Kyle, he's just going to get out there and lead out of turn 5, put this first infield sector together and see if he can break away.
During the Mission Challenge earlier, we did see some additional performance, it seemed like, out of the Indian riders, Troy Herfoss in particular, the #1 plate. You can see him there at the back of James Rispoli. What do you think the rest of the field needs to do to be able to block a Harley lockout of the podium?
They just got it. They're going to have to find some speed. They've been off a little bit this weekend, and Harley's really came out swinging this year. They seem like they've made a little bit more progress this winter, and it's been showing.
Talk a lot about this racetrack and just how it's a rider's favorite in terms of being a physical racetrack. It's a long lap. There's lots of straightaway sections. But is it a mental challenge more than a physical challenge?
It's a mental because of the draft and putting yourself in the right spot. It's not as physical because it's really open. You have the long straightaways to take a breath. There's a couple physical spots like the chicane, but for the most part, it's just the thinking throughout the race, putting yourself in the right spot, how to play the draft.
All right, but these 650-pound bagger bikes, those physical sections, how much harder is it?
Really hard. I don't know how they do it.
We'll watch along with you. Here's Greg, Jason, and Hannah.
Mission King of the Baggers coverage is brought to you by Mission Foods, the world's leading brand for tortillas and wraps. Dunlop, the official tire of the MotoAmerica Championship Series. Drag Specialties, an industry-leading distributor of aftermarket parts and accessories for Harley-Davidson, Indian, and custom V-twin motorcycles. And by NXT Bets. Play MotoAmerica for cash. Multiple race classes live on Top Sportsbook and DFS platforms all season long.
Here we go. It's 5 laps scheduled for Mission King of the Baggers here. Race number 1. Revs are up, lights out, and here we go. All eyes on Kyle Wyman, the 33, who has been the standout here this weekend as he shoots off into turn number 1 in Harley-Davidson's backyard. It looks like he's going to have the lead, but his teammate, Bradley Smith, going up the inside. He's no way going to make that corner. He makes it, but he's going to drift back to 2nd or 3rd place.
And pretty heads-up riding by Herfoss. He gave Bradley a little bit of room. Now you see Rispoli. He's going to try to take advantage of the mistake made by Bradley. He's not quite there. Each of the Harley-Davidson factory riders have different liveries this weekend, Greg. They're all special. They all look good. That is Rispoli on the silver one. Kyle Wyman up front is all red. And as you can see here, now Bradley's going to try to go by Herfoss down the back straightaways. We see Cam Peterson sitting in the pits, super frustrating. Bradley, or is that Herfoss? I think it was Bradley was trying to do something.
Bradley went up the inside of Herfoss. He parked everybody, and now all of a sudden, Kyle's got more. It's Herfoss going up the inside, sliding his Indian motorcycle sideways, and that is allowing Kyle Wyman to get away. What a head start Kyle has with a half a lap in the books.
And Bradley, I just saw Bradley's bike shake really bad going down here, so. And I'm trying to figure out, it's one of the Vance & Hines Harleys. It's probably Hayden Gillum. They're in 5th. So, man, a lot of action at the beginning of this race. Herfoss just didn't want to do anything to let Kyle Wyman get away, but it is too late. Herfoss is going to have to put down some serious laps. You just get the feeling, Greg. You see Bradley now. There's O'Hara is there. That is Hayden Gillum and Rispoli. So 2nd through 6th are all very close. I just got the feeling, you know, Greg, when you look at the points lead that Kyle Wyman has already gathered from this year, this was going to be such an important race for Herfoss to try to come out and win. He's behind his teammate in points. He's just had a little bit of a struggle so far as Bradley Smith now looks like he's trying to go down the inside. He's not going to make it on Herfoss there, but all the while, the 33 of Kyle Wyman just keeps pulling away.
And then Harley-Davidson Dynojet Factory Racing Road Glide. Kyle Wyman on the 33, having his way. This battle for 2nd. The number 1 is Troy Herfoss on the S&S Indian Motorcycle Challenger. But for Bradley Smith, he is. Here we go onto the front straightaway in the draft. All that work that Bradley Smith was doing in the corners, he might get the advantage now as they come up to the start-finish line. Bradley Smith on the 38 is going to pull out of the draft. They're side by side, but Herfoss has position, able to hold him off as now Smith, after his very so Herfoss goes wide. Wow. And he's out of the racetrack. And now Rispoli is in 3rd place. And there's Tyler O'Hara in 4th.
Man, Troy is just trying so hard, and he's just not getting the cooperation right now from his bike. As you see O'Hara, it is so good to see Tyler O'Hara putting in this fight on his factory Indian. He's been working very hard away from the track, Craig. Love following his Instagram. Tyler O'Hara's been with Indian for a number of years. As you see these guys now come down, and now Rispoli makes a mistake. Gets into the draft to Bradley Smith, gets drawn in. That's a mistake that you wouldn't expect to see from somebody like James, but James is going to regroup. He's got to regroup now. Hayden Gillum all the while seeing all this action happening around him. Bradley Smith has a gap now over O'Hara. Herfoss has got himself back in there. But I just kind of felt like this is a weekend where the Indians had to try to win a race.
They certainly did, and they're trying to make sure that Harley-Davidson doesn't have a lockout. Hey, let's take a look at the replay, Jay.
Yeah, you're going to see here, James is down just to the inside. He doesn't feel like he can get the bike stopped, and he's just going to barely miss the back of Bradley. So it's just, he just outbraked himself. The good news is for James, he didn't get out to the gravel, so he's able to continue this fight. The 43 has pace. He was lucky to, or not lucky, he was good enough to win the challenge race this morning, the Mission Foods King of the Baggers challenge race this morning. So Rispoli pocketed a quick $5,000, and he has showed really nice pace this weekend. Now he's going to have to be a little bit patient, get through these 3 guys, and then try to go after Bradley, who, Greg, looks like he's trying to run down the leader. He's got red splits all over the place.
Yeah, and for James Rispoli, Hog Spoli, he definitely wants to put this thing on the podium if his 2 teammates are going to have it. They would love a Harley lockout here in Wisconsin. Hey, play MotoAmerica for cash. Superbike Baggers and Super Sport Series are now live on top sportbooks and DFS platforms. Scan the flow code or visit nxtbets.com/playmate to see what's available in your location. Sign up and claim exclusive bonuses and make your picks now.
Let's see what this lap time is for Bradley Smith. Bradley Smith goes 2:18.3 to Kyle Wyman's 2:18.7. As you can see, Rispoli's pulling out of the draft of one of the Indians, not quite able to get there. He was able to get by Gillum, so now it's going to be the 43 who's got to pick his way through. Part of that wrecking crew, you see Loris Baz is back in 11th. Not exactly sure what's happened yet with him, but Herfoss in 3rd, O'Hara 4th, Rispoli there in 5th with Gillum on that Vance and Hines Harley-Davidson just running in 6th.
So Bradley Smith goes 2:18.3 that you just mentioned. A note, in that challenge race that you were talking about, Kyle Wyman did a 2:17.452. That is the outright track record. Or did a 2:17.526, I mean, 1/10 of a second off of his pole, which is an outright track record. So Kyle Wyman might have something in the tank if Bradley Smith gets too close for comfort. But it's all about Rispoli marching forward right now on this silver livery motorcycle of his Harley-Davidson.
I think for Kyle, reading his pit board, when he starts to see if he's got the number of who's behind him, he's going to know it's his teammate. But more importantly, as you see Hayden Gillum now takes a shot at Tyler O'Hara down into turn 8. He's going to make that pass on his Vance and Hines Harley-Davidson. The Vance and Hines Harleys this weekend, Greg, has been really nice. Seems like they've got a little bit more pace, a little bit more speed down these straights. So the Vance and Hines guys have been working hard to try to give their riders the best bikes they can. Let's get down to Hannah.
All 3 Harley-Davidson factory racers starting on the front row this weekend, which is the first that we've seen this season. When I spoke to different members of the team to see, you know, what's really working well for you this season, it seems like you've made a step up. They said not only is it their 5th season working together as a race team, everyone has a really great understanding of their roles. They're much more at ease at the track. But James Rispoli himself told me that each of the 3 riders brings a different dynamic to the team. So James himself is kind of the glue of everything. He really brings the morale, the pizzazz, the personality. If you've ever even had a conversation with him, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah. Kyle's been on the bike the longest, and Bradley's got the most experience with his background in MotoGP. So it's been a really nice combination of things that's made all the difference for them this weekend.
And sometimes that works for teams.
100%. You get 3 different guys kind of giving you a little bit of feedback, seeing what works and what doesn't. I'm impressed with Bradley Smith right now. This is the best we've seen him. He's never been here before. It's the best we've seen him. It's the closest we've seen him. Again, Greg, 2:18.2. Quickest lap of the race for the 38. I know that the setups between these 2 and 3 bikes at the front are definitely different. Rispoli still trying to work on Herfoss. These guys are also in the 18s. 18.5 for Rispoli, 18.8 for Herfoss. Bradley Smith, though, is definitely keeping his teammate honest. Now, I expect Rispoli to try to get in the draft of this Indian Challenger down the back straightaway and do something with Herfoss. If he's not careful, though, if he passes him too soon, Herfoss will take a shot at him into 5.
Yeah, Herfoss is definitely, we've seen from last year, his first year in Mission King of the Baggers, one of the hardest fighters in this category. There goes Rispoli, but it's a long way outside for Rispoli, and Herfoss trying to get that Challenger slowed down successfully at the bottom of turn number 5, and up the hill they go.
And behind, you see O'Hara has made the pass back on Hayden Gillum as well. So those 2 guys are going at it. Rocco Landers is just off the back of them by about 2.3 seconds, but his lap times, I'm looking at Rocco's times, 2:19.6, just in front of him, 2:19.8 for O'Hara. So Rocco's there's Rocco Landers, the 97, trying his best to try to bridge that gap.
And up front, as we look at the 97 of Rocco Landers, who's been a standout in this class since he arrived on the Revzilla Motul Vance and Hines Harley-Davidson. 0.6 of a second now between Wyman and Smith up front. It's been going back and forth from 0.9 to 0.6. So Smith trying to make inroads. And unless Wyman looks back, it's 2 minutes and nearly 20 seconds till he sees his pit board after Bradley Smith goes fastest sector 2 of the race so far, as we continue to look at 97 in 7th place.
He's getting really, really close to Kyle, to the point where he's going to be able to get the draft. There's Max Flinders. We'll have to look there. But Bradley's close enough, Greg. He's there on the back of Kyle Wyman now. So Bradley, and I know, like I said, setups are a little bit different on these bikes. Kyle's got a lot more time on it. Bradley brings in a fresh perspective. And again, Greg, as you point to it, red sectors coming up again for Bradley Smith. Wouldn't be surprised to see this lap here could get into the 17s.
That is some good kit for both of these bikes. And from what I understand, Jay, you were telling me the riders had the choice, right? The choice to pick which of the liveries they wanted as we go on our final lap. So the white flag is out. Bradley Smith once again fastest lap of the race, 0.2 of a second quicker, as Rispoli has now notched himself into 3rd place, getting around the number 1. So if this is the way it's going to end, Harley lockout here in front of their home crowd, just an hour down the street in Milwaukee. But What kind of race are we going to have at the end of this one? Kyle Wyman's going to know from his pit board last time he came up the front straightaway, the communication that the teams have with the riders. No radios in MotoAmerica road racing here in Mission King of the Baggers, but it looks like Kyle Wyman is on the hurry up as he just went his fastest sector 1 of the race, 0.2 of a second quicker than his teammate. But this battle for third that you're looking at right there, Rispoli on that factory Harley-Davidson Dyno Jet machine leading the way, and Troy Herfoss, if he's going to be close enough, is not going to hand it to Rispoli by any stretch. And then Tyler O'Hara has joined the battle as well.
This is where James just got to keep his head looking forward. He's got pace. He's got to keep his head looking forward. You saw him look back a little bit as he came out of turn 6. But for the 43, you know, he's going to be feeling some pressure. He sees his 2 teammates up in the front, and he would love nothing more than to see his whole crew of Harley-Davidson mechanics that work so hard underneath that tent each week. And as Tyler makes a small mistake, just gets in there a little bit wide. Oh, you know, not Tyler, but Troy, just a little bit wide in and through the middle of that corner. So you can just tell that Troy's not quite happy with what's going on. He's expecting the bike to do something that it's just not quite doing for the number 1, and he is doing everything he can. As Bradley Smith, Greg, he's there. He is actually there as they head down into Canada corner. Bradley Smith's close enough to draft at the line now.
This could be a heartbreaker for the 33 of Kyle Wyman.
Ooh, Kyle got out of there good.
He certainly did, but Bradley Smith getting behind the windscreen and trying to get a draft. It is a long run up the front straightaway. Kyle rips it through that section, but here we go. What does Bradley Smith have in the tank as they come onto the front straightaway for the final time? The checker flag will be flying. Smith trying to get into the draft. It doesn't look like he's got it for the moment, but up the hill they go. Is that draft going to play a role? Smith not having it. Kyle Wyman takes victory by 0.2 of a second. And the other battle coming to the line is Rispoli gets the Harley-Davidson lockout, able to stand on the podium. So the factory Harley-Davidson Dyno Jet Racing team on their road glides will stand 1, 2, 3 in their home race here in Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. That has got to make the company as happy as they can be. They couldn't ask for anything more than that.
Yeah, that's a big win, especially in the backyard here of Harley-Davidson. And this whole crew are going to get to go to winner's circle together as a team. All 3 of their riders did a great job today. O'Hara ends up 4th, Gillum 5th. Not sure what happened to Troy on that last lap. Herfoss did make it across the line, albeit in 6th place, Greg. So there was obviously some late dramas there at the end of the race.
And is this what we're seeing from Bradley Smith for the rest of the season? This is a great racetrack to come to. It's not the most technical to learn.
Yeah.
But
it's long.
It's long. You don't get as many laps
That's
here
right.
to learn the track. But it's all about that draft. I think really, Jason, Bradley Smith with his experience paid off. But Kyle Wyman, listen to this crowd cheer. We're going to hear from Kyle when we come back. These teammates happy to celebrate together.
Talk about it being Harley-Davidson's backyard, and Kyle Wyman, Bradley Smith able to find their fans out along the side of this racetrack, leaning up those factory racing by Dyno Jet machines and going out to accept the congratulations. Not everybody can make it all the way into the infield to celebrate, but these 2 wanted to go out and celebrate with them.
Things don't always go to plan as a team, and this weekend for Harley so far, it has went perfectly, locking out the front row. Now they've locked out the podium. All their riders going to be up there in the team, and all the effort they put into it and working hard, and today they're going to get the reward.
See all the Harley-Davidson's hats there for Rispoli, and Kyle Wyman. Saw a couple of flags there as well. I really like that hat that Kyle Wyman is wearing out on the ribbon too. Bradley Smith made a charge there at the end. He was able to have the fastest lap of the race at 2:18.0. He picked up 0.7 of a second from qualifying into the race today.
Yeah, and also that's hard when you're closing down that gap like that, you know, where you're chasing down Kyle. You got to use your tires up a little bit more as well. But for Bradley, I think that was a huge race. That was really impressive. I wasn't really expecting the lap times and him to be able to put himself in the win. But early on into this race, the action behind Kyle Wyman was exactly what he needed. Those guys were going back and forth, fighting so hard and giving him a nice little cushion early.
As Kyle continues his cool down lap. Remember back to the beginning of the race, there's a little bit of a mistake from Bradley Smith. James Rispoli had a moment later on going a little wide. For Kyle Wyman being able to just keep his head down and stay on the charge, that made the difference.
Made the difference, and he didn't make a mistake. And that's what makes Kyle so tough to beat, is when he gets out front, he doesn't make mistakes.
Fourth one of the season. Let's go back over to Greg, Jason, and Hannah.
Mission King of the Baggers coverage is brought to you by Mission Foods, the world's leading brand for tortillas and wraps. Dunlop, the official tire of the MotoAmerica Championship Series. Drag Specialties, an industry-leading distributor of aftermarket parts and accessories for Harley-Davidson, Indian, and custom V-twin motorcycles. And by NXT Bets. Play MotoAmerica for cash. Multiple race classes live on top sportsbook and DFS platforms all season long.
Welcome back to Road America in Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. Jay, there's a look at our #1 plate, Troy Herfoss, who stormed onto the scene last year, but he has a nice big wheelie. But it wasn't all roses for him in this one.
Man, just such a shame. I mean, look, Tyler O'Hara's done a great job, too, to see him in this fight. But for Troy, there's just something missing, and we need him battling with these Harleys up in the front the way we know he can. Because right now, it's desperate. He's trying so hard. There's a lot of franticness, and but he will close the gap. That team will continue to work hard, but today it's all about the factory Harley team, and what a tremendous job they did.
Yeah, they're working hard themselves, and to look at these results and to look at those 3 factory riders all standing on the podium. So at the end of the day, it's going to be a .255 margin of victory for Kyle Wyman over Bradley Smith. And then James Rispoli had to fight back hard to get in front of those Indian challengers, and of course to stay in front of the Harley-Davidson Road Glide of Hayden Gillum as well. So great results across the board. In 11th place was Loris Baz, another guy who's really the only other rider who's won a race this season in Mission King of the Baggers. So we'll have to find out what happened with Baz, and maybe just not finding the setup on the motorcycle to his liking here at Road America. So good job by Kyle Wyman. Let's get right down to Hannah, who's in victory lane.
Kyle Wyman controlled this race from the start. Kyle, you got a really great start to that race, and you were able to gap the field, but your teammate was catching up to you at the end there, putting pressure on you. What was going through your mind?
Yeah, I mean, I saw such a big gap on the first lap, like 1.5, so I was like, okay, just stay focused, hit your marks, and board started coming down. Bradley was coming, he was riding really good. I was just not feeling exactly how I had all weekend up to this point, but it was enough. I'm so pumped. Harley-Davidson, 1, 2, 3 on the podium with these beautiful liveries. We're like, yeah, I don't know, we're like a crew. I don't know, there's like some sort of name we could come up with, but I'm so happy to be up here. James, Bradley, this whole team. Let's go, Harley. Man, energy, I love it. Thank you.
Congrats, Kyle. Thank you. Moving right on over to second place, and a very happy Bradley Smith. I can't wait to hear what you have to say about this one. Incredible ride.
I just see the way that some of our rivals rode in the mission race, and I was like, okay, let's play that game. So the first few corners was interesting. So yeah, I just felt so good in the race. I was able to do low 18s, which was faster than my qualifying. I maybe would like one more lap to get to Kyle, but we can do that race tomorrow. We bullshitted about this legit, like, can we lock out the front row, can we lock out the podium? We weren't sure whether it was possible, and we've done it at the 3rd round, so proud.
Big congratulations, second place. And rounding out our Mission King of the Baggers podium, James Rispoli, an excellent weekend all around for you, winning the Mission Challenge earlier, and now podium. Take us through it.
Man, that was scrappy. I saw Brad over there just taking absolute shots early on. You know, I took a couple shots myself. It didn't go too well, but, you know, I fought through the pack there. I got past Herfoss with a lap to go. I put a little bit of gap on him, but this isn't about us. This is about Harley-Davidson. Every single person behind you is here right now. If you look at this podium right now, it's all Harley-Davidson because we locked this motherfucker out. Woo!
That's Full Hog Spoley in full effect there. So James, very happy to be on the podium. And yeah, today was a very successful day for him. Jameson, anything you want to say?
I don't even know what to say. You know, I'm proud of all these guys, and I think they probably wish it was Sunday because they could have a big party tonight. But they got to come back and do it all again, and do not rest on your laurels, because that Indian team, they're going to be coming back tomorrow. They're going to sit there at the computers tonight and try to make some changes. And we'll see what happens on Sunday.
Yeah, for that Indian team and their Indian challenger, the good news is they were able to do all the laps they needed to get done, and all that information will be crunched. And tomorrow is definitely going to be a different race. But for all those that are Harley-Davidson loyalists here, just an hour away from their headquarters, this is the dream come true. And Bradley mentioned it, talking about that lockout of the front row and qualifying and standing on the podium. Well, Jay, take us through this kind of really crazy lap one.
That first lap was wild. As you see here, you're going to see Troy goes Bradley goes a little bit wide, but down into turn 5 is where all the action happened. You see where Spoley goes from 4th up to 2nd, and then Herfoss stuffed him back up into turn 6. Late in the race here, you see Herfoss goes out wide, and that was kind of his race, unfortunately. Bradley, and then with Spoley, he goes wide down into turn 5. These guys were just battling over and over again on the last lap. You see Spoley 3rd, Herfoss 4th. It was too bad to see Troy run wide there at the end. The two factory Harleys at the front were Kyle Wyman and Bradley Smith, where Spoley was able to bring that bike home 3rd. And yeah, it's going to be a big celebration down there for them tonight.
A lot of HD hats down there, and you can see the crowd, when they went to the fence, started filing in because they want to get a piece of these two riders. So, all factory Harley-Davidson Dyno Jet on the podium. Kyle Wyman able to hold off Bradley Smith. Keep an eye on the 38 because he's starting to get this thing figured out, and it's going to be awesome the rest of the season for this category. A quick look at the standings. Have Kyle Wyman, JP, 48 points.
That's amazing.
Ahead of Loris Baz. Again, 11th place for him, only 5 points.
And you know, one of the things you and I spoke about earlier in the week, and I had even had a chance to talk to Kyle about it, is that he's been kind of battling the Indians on his own. And not this weekend. His teammates really stepped up to help him, and that's why the gap has just increased even that much more.
Yeah, so for Troy Herfoss in his defense, sitting there in 4th place, 66 points back. Somewhere along the line, I think they're going to have to hit the reset button here and get back on track, especially after the debut season that Herfoss was able to have to capture that #1 plate. So for Kyle Wyman, he's going to put his head on the pillow tonight, thinking about that race and trying to figure out why he wasn't as comfortable as he was earlier in the day. Either way, Harley-Davidson wants to party. It's going to be good. As celebrations start to take off here in Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin, thanks for checking it out. For Hannah and Jason, I'm Greg. We got race 2 tomorrow. You don't want to miss that one. See you then.